to One Bills Live, third and final hour of the show. Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, and joining us on the line as promised, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, a guy that spent one of his several NFL seasons here in Buffalo with the Bills back in 2009, but also a Super Bowl participant with the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 39, and also a member of the 49ers, one of the teams in this weekend's big game. It is one Terrell Owens joining us on the line. T.O., good to have you with us. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it looks like it's nice and sunny down there in South Florida. I mean, I keep saying, how many Super Bowls have you been to? I know you played in one, and you probably go to a bunch. How many? Do you keep track of how many you've been to?
No, I don't actually physically go to the actual games, but I go to the host cities and just enjoy myself. Enjoy a lot of activities. There's a lot of parties and things of that nature. Sometimes I get myself acclimated where I have some appearances and things of that nature. But I've lost track of how many that I've been to, but yeah, quite a bit, I would say.
So, obviously you're now a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and, you were a high-profile player when you played, obviously, but still, once you're inducted, your life changes. So how has your life maybe changed the most since becoming a Hall of Famer?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's changed that much. There's been a dramatic difference. I think the misperception is about the Hall of Fame. People feel like, or they think that our lives changed to, I guess, to a degree that it makes a big difference. I think, but it honestly hasn't. I think you're being recognized, and they've acknowledged you for your skill set and what you've done for the game and at your position, what have you. But again, there's really not any other perks outside of, again, you being widely and worldly recognized for your skill set.
Yeah, and like you said, there's plenty of it's really the mecca of all the whole football world when you get to the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl week. And I tell people there's maybe 10 events in Miami this week that are worth the trip just by themselves. Forget the game, right? And you're right. I mean, I think it's the best way to do it. Go down on a Monday, catch all the stuff, and then leave on Saturday so you can go watch the game in peace. What are some of the things you're going to be doing this week?
Absolutely. I have some friends of mine that's hosting a few things. I've been added to a panel to speak on tomorrow with a group of guys, and then on Friday, I got a good friend that lives down this way, Chad Ochocinco. He's doing a charity celebrity basketball game, so I'll be in attendance for that, just in support of him and what he's doing. A lot of guys, again, are extending themselves with a lot of philanthropic efforts, and so I'm here in town, and so with the relationships I've built, I try to lend where I can my time in support of those guys. And then on Saturday, I'm partnered with Bird, the scooter company. I'm doing a sort of flock with T.O. Type of ride around a mapped out route around downtown Miami. I did one in Los Angeles about a month ago, and it was a success. The Bird company and the people there in the office, they loved it, and they was like, "Oh man, let's see if we can do it there in Miami." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm down." So we did it. We got it orchestrated, organized, and I got them to bring Chad to involve him with it. So it's gonna be a good time.
Oh, yeah, it is. Anytime you and him in the same place, that's entertainment for sure. Have you talked to him at all about his interest in being a kicker? Because there was a whole bunch of stuff about him going to try out for the XFL. What happened with that? Do you have the inside scoop on that for us?
I know somebody else just asked me that on yesterday. I have no idea what Chad is thinking and what he's doing. His mind changes like as the wind blows. So as of right now, I don't know. That would have been a great opportunity for him to really expand upon his athletic prowess in his football career to try to be a kicker in the XFL. There's a lot of kickers missing field goals and stuff these days. So again, if he can extend his career and get back in the NFL at another position, that would be very, very remarkable.
I've got to ask you, and you were known for being one of the most powerful and big and dominant wide receivers of your era. When you see and I know you've seen the Kansas City Chiefs play this year. You've watched Pat Mahomes and what he's done. Their whole team looks like a track team. I mean, they got some guys that can really go. What are your thoughts on the way the Kansas City Chiefs move the football, how prolific their passing game is, and the way that you came into the league way back in the late '90s?
I played for Andy Reid for a season in 7 games. So when I arrived there in Philadelphia in '04 and got there and went to training camp, we was there at Lehigh, and it was just, I mean, it seemed like a show, a rock star studded event, as soon as I arrived there. And knowing Andy Reid with the weapons that he has, when you think of Sammy Watkins, you think of Tyreek Hill, you think of Travis Kelce, and you think about their quarterback, their prolific MVP quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and what he can not only do himself with his feet, his arm, just his uncanny ability to throw the ball at every different angle. But when you factor in a guy like Tyreek Hill, he reminds myself of one of those top receivers that you have to put the ball in their hands in order to win some games. And so going into this game, obviously he's been injured a bit, throughout the course of the year. But later on, as you've seen, as the season progressed, he's obviously healthier. Andy Reid is going to utilize this guy to the best of his abilities. I text Andy Reid, wished him congratulations, and his response was, "I'm hoping one of my guys can have the day that I had down in Jacksonville." And for the people that are listening, obviously I had a historic day there. Caught 9 passes for 122 yards. But if I know Andy Reid and knowing the offense in which they've been performing at such a high rating clip, I know that they're going to try to score every time that they get the ball. So the 49ers, they got their work cut out for them.
So, T.O., you touched on it already, your appearance in Super Bowl 39. There was a lot of doubt as to whether or not you would be fit to even go in that game. You had a long and prolific career, but there it was, a Super Bowl opportunity staring you in the face. And we hear players all the time say, we don't know if or when I'm ever going to get back there again. So how did you kind of wrap your head around the fact that somehow, some way, I've got to be ready for this game, because I may not get another shot at the Super Bowl, which I'm getting right here and now in that time?
I equate it to what I factored into how I got to be a Hall of Famer and everything that that I embodied in. And when I reflected back on my career, when you talk about this particular game, the Super Bowl, I reflect on my 3 Ds. In which I talk about to a lot of kids and anybody that has asked me about my career. And those 3 Ds consist of the words desire, dedication, and discipline. My desire, obviously, once I got injured and had the surgery, was to get back and be ready to play in the Super Bowl when, as you said, there was a lot of doubters. There was even doctors across the country that said there's no way that I would be walking, let alone playing in the Super Bowl in 6.5, 7 weeks. When the injury that I had sustained, it's typically a 3 to 4 month rehab process before I can even do anything. And so, number one, I put my faith in God. But if you think about the other 2 Ds, that's the dedication and the discipline. I dedicated myself to the rehab process that Rick Burkholder and their staff provided for me. I went through everything, and the discipline, it just came through what I had done my first 8 to 9 years of eating healthy, taking care of myself, taking care of my body, and I was able to respond from an injury, that could have been career ending. But obviously to play, get back and be ready to play in that Super Bowl in 6.5, 7 weeks, it was unheard of. It was unimaginable. And so again, when you put your mind to anything that you want to do, it can be accomplished.
The 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo last year blew his ACL out. He came back. He's 25 and I think 23 and 5 as a starter for San Francisco. He's really played extremely well, and he only tried to throw it 8 times last week. What do you think this Niners offense is going to look like in this game against the Chiefs defense?
Well, number one, they're not going to be able to win a football game against the Kansas City Chiefs throwing the ball 8 times.
Right.
I can assure you of that. So I think they're obviously with the game plan. Every game is different. As you know, Steve, you've played the game. When you prepare for an opponent, no two opponents are the same. You prepare accordingly, and I think Kyle Shanahan did a great job of really assessing what he could take advantage of going into the game, that NFC Championship game last week. I don't think anybody foresaw Jimmy Garoppolo winning the NFC Championship throwing less than 10 passes. But obviously they did their homework, they did their assignments, and they saw that there was something that they saw with their defense. Speaking of the Green Bay defense, that they could expose and exploit, and they did just that. They took very full advantage of the opportunities and the things that they saw on film.
And I know we'd probably be remiss if we didn't ask you about this, T.O. I know that your year in Buffalo was kind of a blip on your career in terms of time because it was only one season. But, from the serial T.O.s to, getting on the field with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's still playing in the league, by the way, what do you pull most from your 1 year in Buffalo?
Oh, man, it was, number one, just how the city embraced me. Again, I think that when the opportunity arose for me to kind of factor in where I wanted to play next, when Buffalo was one of those places, I didn't balk at the opportunity to play. And at that time, at the latter part of the stage of my career, I didn't get a lot of offers. Because of everybody, speculating that, I had a bad attitude, character issues, things of that nature, locker room, a lot of drama, things of that nature. I wasn't really worried about that. But at the end of the day, I just wanted an opportunity to play football. I ended up talking to my agent at the time, Drew Rosenhaus. He had spoken to the GM, the coaches there. They asked me if I would be willing and wanting to come play with a team like Buffalo, because I knew that the people were saying Buffalo is not the most attractive place to play, and then I think people that listened to the media that thought that I was some prima donna or high maintenance guy, they're like, no, there's no way he's going to play in Buffalo. But throughout the course of the career, I've always valued who I am and how I was raised, and at the end of the day, any uniform that I put on, I played 100%. And so I saw Buffalo as one of those places that hard-working, blue-collar city, and it didn't bother me where I played. I just wanted an opportunity to really extend and really my career and play to the best of my ability. I understood they had a young quarterback in Trent Edwards, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they had a couple other guys that were backups there. But I had a lot of confidence in my ability, and that's how I went about my career. It didn't matter, who was the quarterback. I had a lot of confidence in my ability that if I could get the ball and somebody could get the ball to me, that I could perform and play at the highest of my abilities. And so when I got there, Buffalo was ecstatic about me being there. I was ecstatic about just the opportunity. And honestly, I'm very fond of my time in Buffalo, New York. Being there in Orchard Park, I stayed less than 5 minutes from the stadium there. I met Ralph before he passed away, rest in peace. And at one of the practices there. And again, like I said, I have nothing bad to say about Buffalo. And man, one of my favorite restaurants there till this day is the Chop House. I'll never forget it. And so again, I enjoyed my time in Buffalo, and I appreciate all the love from all the social media exchanges, from all the fans there. They definitely have a place in my heart.
One last thing I got to ask you, for all the things, and you alluded to it as well, there's a lot of controversy that swirled around you during your career at different times. Do you have any regrets about how it went down for you? Now you're standing there with a gold jacket, you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a historic figure in the NFL as a wide receiver. Do you have any regrets about how things went for you in your NFL career at all?
Not at all. Obviously, we all have been shaken up with the passing of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the rest of the passengers on Sunday in that helicopter crash. And Kobe was one of my inspirations. Before when I met him in '99 and I followed his career, his first career in the NBA was my first year in the National Football League.
Right.
So obviously Michael Jordan's at the top of that list, but my number 2 favorite basketball athlete is Kobe Bryant. And you ask about regret, and I think about what Kobe's relentless pursuit of greatness was. I feel like the only thing that I regret is not approaching the game like Kobe approached the game. I just stumbled upon football. I never thought I would play beyond the collegiate level, and to see the impact, the response just around the country of what this guy was able to do on a basketball court with a round ball, and the outpouring of love and support of what he did around the globe, and just a tragic loss of him, his daughter, and those other passengers. It hurts me deeply. It pains me deeply. I'm heartbroken by it. And so I thought about this just, a few hours ago, just thinking about everything. If I had the relentless pursuit of him like he had pursuing basketball as a football player, there's no telling what my skill set or my talents would have been. What I was able to accomplish on that football field was just pure, just athleticism and just my competitiveness. And it factors back into what I mentioned earlier with my 3Ds. The only reason I was successful in football, honestly, it was a lot of people along the way that groomed me to become the receiver that I did. But to be this Hall of Famer sitting here talking to you guys today, it was my desire, my dedication, and my discipline. But I'm telling you, if I was that young adolescent, that kid that wanted to just grab football and pursue football like Kobe wanted to pursue basketball, there's no telling what my career would have been like.
Yeah, certainly some perspective that everybody has these days in the wake of that tragic accident. Tio, I think that's a good note to end on. So, look, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. Again, enjoy your time down there in Miami. And once again, thanks for joining us here on One Bills Live. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tio.
Absolutely. No doubt, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. Thanks for having me. Go Bills.